All right, we went live.
Okay, we are now live. We're gonna wait for viewers now. It's gonna start in 1 minute. That's perfect. So as I said yesterday, people will be able to see it on YouTube directly from here because it's gonna go, when we finish it, it's gonna go directly on YouTube.
Sounds good.
So it will be on our page. We're gonna make like kind of a little bit of marketing about it. We always share the one we did, and even you can use it on your page to talk a little bit about you.
I'll see if I want to. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So has it snowed in Quebec? Or are you in
Not yet. It's colder, but it's not snowing. No.
Yeah.
We hope to have snow by Christmas.
Fun.
So how long have you been working on GWT, Brendan?
Oh. I don't know. I've kind of lost track.
I'm gonna ask the question later when we will be.
I'm afraid to say year because then if I actually calculated how long GWT's been alive, then I might be like, ooh, oops. I know it's been, I don't know, I'm thinking 5 years, but I lose track of time. So maybe 5, 6 plus, I don't know. Some of those times I haven't been as aggressively on it as others. How long has it been around?
2006, I think.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Yeah. I remember starting when it was 1.6 or getting more involved with it at about that stage. I think I saw pieces of 1.4 and then had to migrate all my apps to 2.0, the ones that I had at the time. That was a big change. So I don't know when that was, but I remember those days.
So it's as the hour 2 minutes. I think we're gonna start. People may join during the event. So, hi Brendan. Welcome to the new Q&A that we do usually every month. So I guess a little start would be telling us who you are and what do you do, where you're working, and everything about you.
All right. Thanks, Philip, for having me on board today. Yeah, I'm Brandon Donnelson. Guess I already said that part since it's in all the feeds. But I live in Arlington, Washington, and well, we've got a small farm. A little bit about me. I've got 5 kids. It always shocks people when I say that. Like, whoa, you got 5 kids? How do you do that? It makes for a good. We've been all at the airport, and we get a lot of eyes looking at us as we stroll through the airport, and our crew. It's like having a basketball team. But we've got some llama and alpaca, couple alpaca. One of them's going to have babies this year, so
Nice.
kids are excited about that. So it takes, I don't know, 11 months for that. But anyways, I work at Sencha, which is in Redwood City, California. They actually have a couple offices in the other one's in Lawrence, Kansas, and Frederick. Is it Delaware or Washington, D.C.? I don't know what they go by. But as for that, I work from home, and I'm the GXT Support Engineer. So I help customers do whatever they need to do. We have a premium avenue where customers can ask questions, and I answer questions on a regular basis. I provide documentation. I help out with whatever needs to be done. Sometimes I'm doing consulting services with folks that need a little special or ask for building something custom or whatnot. Similar to probably what you guys do, but not as big, just small events. And let's see.
And we were talking about that before the event, but how long have you been with universe?
The GWT? Yeah, that's a good question. I was wondering. So it's probably been over 5 years, but I remember the 1.6 transition to 2.0, and I had to change my app to 2.0, and it was a big change. And I'm not even really sure what that was, like the project structure or something. Now that I can't even think about it. I don't have the greatest memory. Maybe I just dumped the bad thoughts, so I don't use that stuff to fill up my space, which maybe I don't have much of. But at any rate, it's been a while, so I'm currently at Sencha doing GXT work, which is based on GWT and whatnot. It's all GWT client side.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about GXT before going to the main subject of the Q&A. What is GXT? Can you introduce that to people that are viewing our video?
Yeah, it's a good question. GXT is basically we consider it like an enterprise framework that you can get all your widgets, buttons, framework, theming, styling. It's got grids and stuff ready to go, so you can kind of plug and play an enterprise app real quick and throw together what you need, so you don't have to build everything from scratch. So if you're looking for something that's kind of done already, and they have an avenue for that. And then that also includes like support services for when you get stuck or want to do things out of the box and kind of customize things. So we help get that done a little bit quicker with contract. So that's a little bit about GXT.
Nice. I had a question. Your feedback. Yeah, I know that a lot of people know you, but because you did some teaching material for GWT and all that stuff. So do you still do that, or you did that in the beginnings and now you do that more at your job, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. I used to get frustrated because I couldn't find docs, so I'd kind of write examples. They're quite outdated now because I go back to them and think, what was I thinking at the time when I wrote that? But some of it was actually useful because it was just like a small example or sample. And then I think right now I do docs, but I kind of put it on our domain because it's a little bit quicker to get it out there and structure it. And then, of course, I have a kind of obligation or interest to have to work for the company. So some of the things open source, I try to do open source, but I try to do ours too. So it's hard to balance that a little bit at times. But anyways, I write a lot of docs, and I figure more than one angle is good. So if you're going to search for docs and you find different examples, you can kind of mix and match what you put in your shopping cart and take out at the end of the day. So docs at multiple locations I always thought were a benefit. But anyways, in the beginning I did do that, and figuring if there was another little piece of an example it might help someone. And that kind of led to where I am now because they were interested in the docs.
It helped me a lot when I started with it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Samples and docs, they're always a bonus. I think live demos is a bonus with source and some docs to go with it.
Yeah, that's the best. So, okay. Maybe we go on with another question that we have. Some question about GWT first. What do you find stunning in GWT, and where do you use the toolkit? Yeah, what do you use it for in your case?
And let's see. Well, I'll start with what I use it for. One of the things I use it for is building apps. I like to build apps on the side as a hobby development. I don't do it as much as I did it because I have like one app now. It's kind of my star app, and since I have a lot of kids, they need to do chores because they dirty the dishes and laundry quickly. So we try to split that up. So I've made a app, and I have a friend that's a counselor, and so I gave it the name of his business or whatnot. So it's rightwayeconomy.com, but it's a little points app that you can track points for chores, and they can trade those in for cash or for time. I haven't fully developed it because it's like a hobby level investment, and some of that is hard given I get to drive to sports and whatnot, and then depending on how much I'm giving in other areas, how much I get done in that. But it's fun to do apps because you can kind of quickly throw things together in GWT, and since it's Java and statically typed and has nice tool chain, it's quite nice to put an app together. I think what I find stunning about GWT is it kind of brings all the features that you need in client-side application development, and you can mix and match. I'm thinking of words trying to figure out how to describe it. You can mix and match what you need and put it together. Like, for instance, if I wanted to do localization, that system's already built in. You can easily do routing and construction of like an MVP framework, like the GWT platform that you guys have. You could use that. I mean, there's all kinds of tools that you can mix and match, and there's a nice debugging plugin and how it debugs. And when you run the server, web server versus compiling, it minimizes its small footprint. It's easy to build an application that deploys with a minimum size. It has a small footprint, so you don't get a real big bloated application to deploy to specific devices. You don't have to think about much other than how you're going to put together your business logic. It's not when you refactor something in your code, it might be painful in JavaScript. So I always like that if I refactor my code in GWT in Java, it's much nicer, because I always find out there's iterations you have to rewrite.
Yeah, the static typing, it helps a lot. You're right.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool.
And if we discuss more about our main subject, which is the GWT plugin for Eclipse, can you give us a little bit of history behind it?
Yeah, so they used to be called the Google plugin for Eclipse, or at least could still be called that because it's a fork of it. I finally got involved with the Google plugin for Eclipse. I got on because it's in the cloud framework at Google, and Daniel finally gave me permissions, or I got permissions to get in to contribute code. And doing that was great. I could get in, do pull requests and stuff, but the availability of bandwidth and with the Googlers was a little bit tight because they have so many things going on. So eventually we decided to fork it. Maybe I kind of forked it a little bit, so I'm hoping I don't get anybody in trouble. But when you have a pull request and it sits for a while, and you try to get a patch in, and it's hard to kind of move things along. So finally, I just forked it because it was a lot easier to make the improvements. I wanted to make some improvements because Eclipse Mars was coming. I think at the time Luna. Maybe Luna was coming at the time. It took several months to even get to a stage where we're going to fork it. But first, before it was forked, I forgot that we had to kind of migrate the platform from a standard Eclipse environment to Tycho environment, which is Maven. And then I eventually got it set up on build servers outside of Google on Google Compute. And since then, now we're constructing a different build servers internally at Sencha, so I can distribute the cost through them, through the IT department, so I don't have to pay for it. I was paying for it out of my pocket for a while, and then Sencha stepped up and started. I put $500 into build server time for Compute Engine just to kind of spool things up. It was $90 a month or something, which isn't a big deal. I was invested in it because I thought, man, this could make life easier and better. Plus, it's a little bit of competition for the other plugin if I actually get a feature in too. You know what I mean? So that's always a benefit to kind of keep things. And there's a lot of people who use Eclipse and a lot of people who use IntelliJ or IDEA, and I wanted to be able to keep the feature sets. You know, limit the bugs because there's null exceptions and certain paths that just kind of drive people nuts. And so I eventually got that. And one of the main features I wanted to fix was the Maven server framework with when you're using Google App Engine. That was one of the first features that motivated kids. I was using it as well. And so when you spool up a server and then you have a code server, you have two servers, and how you automate that process of launching your debugging into the browser was very painful, and you couldn't auto import. There's a lot of errors. And so I got that fixed. I added the WTP server runtime integration. The code server automatically starts when you launch a server runtime such as Tomcat or Google App Engine, and it could be any other server. So you can have a little bit more of a custom backend if you wanted to go that route. And I've also I added launchers for just the code server, which is kind of nice if you want to run the code server without a web server, or if you wanted to make your own matchup with the code server with a remote server. And so I've improved that with a lot of other bugs. There's still bugs to be had and done, but I was motivated for myself, for my own apps, and then of course it's a benefit, for work and everybody else that uses it. So when I go out to training, I'm like, what bugs do I need to fix before I go? Because I know they're using Eclipse. So it's a benefit for me at times. I've done that. Yeah. So that's a little bit of the history. I don't know if that made any sense because it's kind of pieced together in random order, but.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And in fact, when I look not so long ago, when you look for Google plugin for Eclipse, the default GWT which is bundled with it is 2.6.0 still. So yeah, I think it brings a lot of value to add this thing. And as you said, it's sometimes difficult to have input from Googlers. We have we did one fork for, I think it's App Engine Maven plugin, not sure. Yeah, just because of that, we did a fork for that reason, as you tell.
Yeah, so I've got it so you can use the official App Engine Maven plugin, so you don't have to use the old Kindle It plugin.
Yeah.
I fixed the SDK. Now it's updated. So now that 2.8's coming out, we can update to that quickly too. So we can add that in, and then all you have to do is click update. At some point, I'm hoping I can get a feature in where you can actually have more than one SDK version download, but it was tightly coupled in the code without a big remodel. So I just kept it statically connected with the most current version.
Yeah.
And App Engine's a little bit behind, but I'll get that updated here in the next round or two.
Yeah.
So that's the start of the Google plugin for Eclipse, or GWT plugin for Eclipse is kind of what I'm calling it. There's other plugins out there. I don't want to diminish their value, like the Gradle. There's another fellow building a Gradle Eclipse plugin that's great too. So if you're into Gradle, that might be the way to go for someone as well.
Mm-hmm. It depends on your needs, maybe.
Yeah.
Just a reminder for a viewer, you can ask questions to Brandon if you want, related to GWT or to the plugin, or feel free whenever you want. And yeah, so, and also maybe what can you tell us about the evolution, the next, so you told about GWT 2.8, what's next for the plugin?
Well, let's see. I was just looking at that. I was looking at the list, cleaning up the issues the other day. I know one of the things on my agenda is try to figure out how to do a GSS editor, and so that's hot on my agenda. And I've been experimenting and working through that. I've got the CSS parser integrated, but I haven't published anything yet. But I'm looking into that. I think I'll have to upgrade the Lexer, which is the which tokenizes the
Yeah.
file, and I have to give it some kind of knowledge of the GSS. And merging GSS with CSS, I'm not quite sure how that will be done yet. I'm kind of hoping I can find something that's already been, like a library that's already been already doing it. And I see some of the Clojure compile. There's code in there, but it's a different Lexer, and I'm not sure if I can use that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's on the agenda, and so that's one of the pieces. I think kind of making it better and squashing more bugs is definitely a high priority, because I wanted the getting started experience, make that a lot easier. I think it could be tuned and even made better. And so the overall piece, I think, is that's usually my drive, is just trying to make things simpler and easier to use. I think adjusting arguments with the new with code server arguments, using a form would be a lot better. I've always wanted to do that, to where you can change the port without having to go to the argument list or looking up like what was the bind address? How do I add that parameter to the arguments list?
Yeah.
Without going, oh, I forgot the caps on A, and struggling with that. So I've always wanted to add those, the entire argument, or all the possibilities for changing your launcher into a form, and I just haven't got there yet. It's on my list, but I've been trying to tackle some of the more blatant issues.
Yeah. And I think whatever we can do to help new people get into GWT easily. So that's a good move. I think you're working hard on that, and I'm also working on that at ArcB. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, there's possible integration levels, some integration options there to make it easier for folks to get started. Yeah, it's neat to see things get better and easier to use.
Cool. Phil, do we have other questions from our viewers? I don't.
No, I can't see any right now, but we're gonna continue, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the next question will not be on the plugin, but on GWT itself. You're really implied in the community, and I think a lot of people know you. Just have to see your followers on Google+. What will be for you the next significant thing for GWT?
I think, well, one of my drives for in that area is making JS Interrupt easy to use. I think just kind of getting my head wrapped around all the options with JS Interrupt is kind of an exciting option, because so many libraries, external libraries that can be used with GWT or JavaScript, such as I wrote a GWT maps wrapper, which was fun at the time, but really it cost me a lot of maintenance time. And finally I just gave up and said I can't maintain it because I don't have enough time, given that I was working on the Google plugin for Eclipse and my own app. I just had to pull a couple prongs out of the fire. So JS Interrupt, and working with that and kind of getting exposed, I'd like to see if I can help with getting docs out on that, if I can. And I was looking at just kind of setting up samples and demos, or I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm just starting to kind of test that and use it and get my head wrapped around. It's really neat because you can write JavaScript with Java classes. So it makes it really nifty to integrate with an external JavaScript library. So I'm excited about that part. And I think I've got template projects. I have a lot of template Maven projects, and one of the other options I'd like to do is try to figure out how to do a template project that is not Maven, because not everybody uses Maven.
Yeah.
So I've been starting to explore other avenues of creating projects and how to kind of generalize that, so you can pick your flavor, because there's so many different ways to use GWT. I mean, customers come to me often and say, I do it this way, and I say, oh, that's cool. You know, whatever floats your boat is usually what I say, you know, because everybody kind of dances a little.
Yeah. We have a tendency to suppose that everybody uses one as we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
So building ant projects. The other, I seen the other issue is trying to kind of, I'd like to see the Maven plugin kind of maybe move to Thomas Boyer's Maven plugin. I don't know what everybody thinks about that, but that's, I think he's got a better setup, because it's not the old CodeHouse plugins were bound to the SDK, and if you can get the plugin so it's not bound to the SDK, and so when it launches, it's not, you know, I don't have to have the exact version and update every time the GWT updates. That's a pain in the a pain. So I'm looking for things that make that easier. So the whole, you know, is getting. So I guess usually I'm thinking of how can I, if the getting started experience get easier for anybody new, it also gets easier for anybody that's experienced, because we want, you know, you want to build a lot of apps. You don't want to just build one app and maintain that forever. The cycle is always jumping onto something new, or even having to rewrite it. You want to make that experience faster, so you can kind of make it better, quicker. And how do we? I guess I asked myself, how do you do that? And
you're right that interrupt a lot of doors. JavaScript developers who may want to do a little bit of Java, but using JavaScript packages or whatever. So yeah, I think that's something really positive in GWT futures. But yeah,
a lot of times you'll find teams within enterprises. You have a JavaScript team and a Java team, but they want to use their language assets that they're comfortable with, and if you can blend both together without much strain, and instead of making one go, oh, you have to learn Java. No, you have to learn JavaScript to get the job done. It's really painful. And I've seen that at Google with the inbox. You know, they blended everything together to make kind of the cross-platform construction a little bit better, so they didn't have to do it all in one language per se. You used all the team's strengths. And that's a kind of exciting. So what you said is really a really good point with the opportunity and JS Interrupt.
Cool. Good. So you told us that you were working a lot of projects, and I know that when we exchange email, you have a lot of things that you can talk about. Is there something in particular you want to talk about? Maybe your app? I don't know if it's something that you're going to release for everyone. Or...
Oh, yeah, my app, the Right Way Economy. Yeah, that part, I'd like to release it. I got to a point like, ooh, I got to rewrite some of my user interface, because, you know, like, when you first develop it and you go, this is so awesome, but then you get along and you're going, wow, what did I do here? This is not user friendly. Takes 5 clicks, or your friend says, wow, this is painful, you know, and they're comparing the Google app down the street that only has 2 clicks to get the same kind of interface or job done with getting data, and it makes it hard to. So I've got to rewrite some of the user interface and make it mobile friendly. Mobile, I think, enterprises are starting. Their apps are still late. There's always a new legacy, you know, because there's always new technology, and mobile's the forefront. So moving to mobile is still a big thing for big companies, even small companies, because they've built some of their internal apps, and now people want to do it on iPad, and not everybody's got it, they got to rewrite and spent big bucks just to get to the first version. So getting further forward with mobile is mine, and I see others. So it's kind of fun to be able to think about mobile in my own hobby app, because then it helps me kind of translate how others would do it too. So I try to do a lot of hobby development so I can keep, like just a different perspective. And doing that with my little points app for the family is kind of helpful along that way. But I want to change the views and make it a little more mobile friendly, and see if I can get theirs. I think one of the goals.
Yeah, and maybe it could do a good showcase on GWT website. So I think you can submit a pull request and put it as a showcase of what GWT can do.
Oh yeah, that's I've thought about that. I think I've always been a little like, ooh, I'm not quite there yet. I've always been like, oh, my stuff feels sucky. I don't think I could put it on yet. And I think that's what other people it happens to them too, but they never do it. But the reality is probably not so bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably not so bad. And when you put it in a mindset of continuous improvement, that's fine. So people know that it's not a perfect product, but yeah, it's just a showcase of what's going on in the universe, the GWT universe.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll have to think about that.
So we're going to wrap it up because it's already time. It lasts for 30 minutes. How can we contact you? Where is the next time people can see you, maybe? Or you conference speaker somewhere? Or
Well, let's see. I'm on the Gitter a lot in IRC, so folks can get a hold of me there. Although I'm not attentive to some of the time, depending on the workday schedule. But I noticed Gitter is a little easier to process because its history is a little easier. Yeah. Oh, I see a question came across.
Yeah, it's a question from Raymond. Do you have any plans for more code generation tool? And can you think of any area where this might be possible?
Code generation. Well, that makes me think of the archetype plugin that I built. I can easily generate template projects from, or archetype for Maven from any kind of project with a few constraints. Well, code generation, I have pondered generation for JS interrupt, but I haven't actually tried anything yet. I think once I get my head wrapped around how the syntax is for writing the JavaScript and Java with the JS interrupt 1.0 spec, then I could probably, I think it would be nifty to think about how to generate the library binders, or whatever you want to call it, for external JavaScript libraries, because I know JS doc and there's some other Java documentations that do describe the types. It might be enough to actually generate the JS interrupt bindings, or whatever the classes interfaces, without too much trouble. But I'm not sure yet. Template project generation, that's been one of my, that'd be kind of fun, but I haven't got there with other types of projects. Like Ant, because it's a Java standard project and not a Maven, but you can do Ant with kind of different flavors, but they didn't really have a good like Maven archetype. But I thought, well, Maven archetype, the delivery mechanism, could be used for other project templates, so without distributing the palm at the end. So I think possibility, the ultimate goal would be kind of have a visual designer write the code for you, but getting GWT Designer back up and running in the Eclipse plugin, I don't know if I have enough time yet. So I actually closed that issue in the Eclipse plugin the other day, but nevertheless, I still dream about it. I was trying the Android Studio out the other day, and I've been learning a little bit of that. And I go, wow, this would be kind of fun to be able to translate into GWT. I can't get away from actually the GWT because I like it so much. So being able to use other tool sets and hack them, I think about that at times to generate GWT code. But there's a good interface to be had with the GWT designer. Maybe it could be ramped back up at some point. It was tied into the hosted mode, which is quite old now, and to get that running would be a little bit painful and time consuming. But we'll see what the future holds if I can get past some of these humps in the next couple months the basic ones that I wanted to get through, and then the GSS parser's kind of my first goal to get over, because I think that would be a benefit to write style sheets without too much trouble in Eclipse and be able to have the code completion, auto assist, and color highlighting done with GSS would be neat. And that would go with UI Binder and just the GSS file.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those kind of cover the areas I think about.
Yeah. One of our viewer can help you on these. We know that time is limited, so sometimes if somebody is interested to help you in that.
Oh yeah, good point.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if anybody's interested, especially if you've got Lexer skills, I'd be very attuned to listening to anybody and even help, because I know the plugin framework, but I'm not necessarily a pro at figuring out how to bring that all together. It's just not something I do every day, but I eventually get there with some work. But yeah, I'm always open to folks helping. The plugin's a little bit of a monster, so I'm trying to slim it down and actually make it easier to set up and hack on, and do a little bit of that each time I work with it. Yeah.
Cool.
Is there any more question from the viewers? Hope it answered your question, Raymond.
Yeah, thanks, Philip and Oliver.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Brendan. Thanks a lot for your time, for coming to see the community. And the video will be available on YouTube and on the page, and we will release it. So yeah, Raymond is telling us something. Sorry, I don't have a mic. In chat is disabled. One of my complaints with GWT is really just a complaint with Java, but there's so much boilerplate code. There are so many ways of doing stuff in GWT, but generation is hard.
Yeah, I know it. There's a lot of paths, and kind of refining those paths down to is simplifying. I like simplifying, kind of giving the best case standards. That's a good question. Good point. I think there's some work to be done in that area. Yeah, and I think just kind of providing docs is a good start, and then providing the tool chain that helps get that get to maybe show the standards, and then project templates are a big one for me, and different angles on those project templates that folks to see. But I think there's a challenge, because once you create a template, it creates maintenance, and trying to figure out how to create a way to bring that maintenance down so you don't have to maintain it consistently. And I think I've got a good balance, but I'm not quite there yet on the maintenance balance versus having to add the new feature. But little by little, you can tune the system to be able to provide maybe automation in that department.
And we're doing continuous improvement of that framework also. So yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Good. I think it wrap it up. So thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day to everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Philip, and thanks, Brendan.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks, Philip. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Good day.